All right, good morning or afternoon, whenever you are watching the video. We're going to be doing stretch and core today. I'm going to start out, if you have a foam roller, I'm going to have us start today with a foam roller. There's different kinds of foam roller. This one has got a whole bunch of different ridges on it, which makes it a little bit more aggressive of a foam roll. I have another one here that has less aggressive ridges, but still nonetheless ridges. So you can get the smooth ones too if you're not accustomed to foam rolling and or you feel like you're just post-injury, you don't really want to get too aggressive with it. So I'll have you start out by taking a seat right on your foam roller on your glutes, and we're just going to go back and forth rolling over the glutes here. We go back and forth here. When we're foam rolling, what we're looking to do is, I call it a search and destroy. We're looking for lumps and bumps, and if we find one, hang out, like I got one here, and I'm just gonna rock back and forth on it. What I'm trying to do is kind of just bring some blood flow to that area and then mechanically kind of break up that, sometimes it could be an adhesion if it's been sitting there for a long time, or it could just be a bundle of like twisted muscle fibers. So just hang out on it. If you haven't found anything yet, good for you. Your glutes are in good shape. We're gonna go lean back on your hands here, cross your right leg over your left, lean into the left side here, and we're kind of on your hip capsule. So this is where all the attachments come in on the hip, kind of like a little rotary. So you might find some tenderness, almost maybe feeling like a bruise in here. And we'll go back and forth here, about 10 or so times today. If you find this is really sore, I would do this again later. Good, we'll switch to the other side, left leg over the right, and just lean into that right side. You can even move your left hand. You just really want to try to get onto that hip capsule. Again, you're looking for where it feels a little bit tender, not so smooth. So we'll just kind of roll through that a few times. I get a little something right here. I'll just rock back and forth on that here. And then I'm going to uncross my legs. I'm going to slide off right here, not to the small of my back, but right where my glutes are kind of just beginning. And I'm going to roll right through there. Just get a little blood flow to the top of that glute group here. And then what I usually do is I kind of pair my backside with rolling. So I'm going to come all the way down onto my butt here. Just let the foam roller get into my ribs. You don't want to come through this. Yeah, and then, Scooby always likes to make an appearance in the videos. He typically likes to block the view when I'm demonstrating. So this is your first video. Welcome to Scooby. Just, you don't want to get on the bottom rib and then put pressure lifting your hips up. Get into the middle part, right over your shoulder blades, and you're just going to roll back and forth right through the shoulder blades. Okay. If you're like, oh, this feels great, you feel a lot of cracking adjustments, you can even take your hands to the back of your head, roll through a few times here, and you're just kind of like looking up at the ceiling here, and then kind of just work your way down, not all the way to the last couple of ribs because they're not attached. You don't want to put pressure, but as low as you can. You have a lot of like your lats attached down there. Your QLs run through there, so there's some good stuff that we can loosen up through that for the foam rolling. Awesome. All right, so we'll do some other foam rolling. That's for sort of the back of the body, glutes and mid back. We're going to go in, and now we're just going to move into our stretch class. So we're going to have you guys roll all the way down. It looks a little dark. I'm going to just throw an additional light on over here just to make sure. I don't know how much that helps, but maybe a little bit. Usually I get a help from the sunlight, not today. Good, we're gonna roll all the way down here, and we're gonna just pull your knees into your chest, peel your pelvis off the floor, and then come all the way back. Good, so right here, you're just opening up your SI joints in the back here. So as you pull those knees in, pulling the SI joints, your lower back off the floor. This last time, we're going to hold it in here, almost kind of contract your core, kind of try to work your rib cage toward your hip, kind of get that curve in the lower spine. Your head's going to come up off of the floor. Good, holding those knees in as tight as you can. Right, feel that stretch through the SI joint here. That's right here, right? That part is pulling apart as you pull your knees this way. And good, we'll go ahead and release that. Drop both feet down onto the floor here, and we'll just begin to windshield wiper knees back and forth here. So we did a nice job opening up the glutes, opening up our back here. So we're gonna do some stretching for the hips. Right now, we're just kind of loosening them up, continuing to get that blood flow in there with this windshield wiper motion. The next time you get over to the left side, you're gonna just drop your knees over to the left side here. And then you can extend your right arm out to the right side, just kind of open up that right shoulder. If you can, you're gonna just press that right shoulder down onto the floor as you reach out with those right fingertips. Your right foot's probably on that inside edge of your foot. You're gonna drive that into the floor, squeeze your right glute and get a nice good stretch through this front right hip flexor here. You just kind of come slightly up and away off the mat here, opening up that hip. And again, we're just holding it here. You can almost drive your right knee down a little bit. And that's gonna just extend that stretch. And then if you wanna take your right hand from like a kind of like a reaching out to the side to an overhead position, that's gonna add even more length through that stretch right there. Good, so reaching through the fingertips, driving that knee all the way down for 3, 2, and 1. Good, we'll start to relax and release everything here and bring your hand in, and then the knees are gonna come up and we're gonna go right back. Let's do about like 4 windshield wipers to each side. Just recalibrate. Sometimes when we do stuff to one side, we're stretching, the other side gets a little crampy, so we just do a little bit. Next time we're over to the right side, drop those knees over to the right. Send the left arm out to the left side. You know, feel that left foot, that inner edge, drive down into the floor, squeeze that left glute, and open up the left hip flexor. Good. You might even just draw that left knee down. And as you're here, if you want to go ahead and extend that left arm up, find some more length through that side body. Drive the knee and reach with your fingertips. And good, we'll release everything, bring that back on the center. Both feet are gonna come all the way back in. Square up those hips. You're gonna walk the soles of your feet together and then allow your knees to drop open to the side here. So hands can rest comfortably on your belly. If your inner thighs or adductors are tight, and the gravity pulling open your knees is a little bit too extreme, you can always put yoga blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can put some couch pillows or something under your knees as we just sit here for about 30 seconds or so and just let these muscles lengthen. You may also start to notice if they're tight that your low back kind of pops up off of the ground because those adductors kind of go around that backside and insert over there. So they're kind of tugging from that point. You can go ahead and use your core, press your belly button down into the floor so that you're holding your back flat and then still allow gravity to work those knees down and open toward the floor. Good. All right, so we're here just for another breath or two. And then we'll bring our hands outside of those knees and just close them like a book, always assist them. Those muscles have been stretched out long. You don't want to all of a sudden bang, engage them. So use your hands to close. Take your right knee up, pulling it into the chest. We'll extend your left leg all the way down and long. We're going to move into a supine twist. So we're going to take that right knee across the body to the left. You can extend your right arm out again if you want, working to get this right shoulder to press right into the floor. Your left hand just adds weight down here onto your right leg. And so as we're just adding that weight there, trying to get a little bit of rotation up into the leg. Maybe we're getting a male delivery. Okay, and extend out all the way straight through the leg. Hey, Scoops. Scoops. Hey, Scoops, we're stretching, baby. Scoops. Good. All right, so we're pressing through the heel. Toes come to you. Good. And we're still using this left arm to just come all the way down. Good. And just lengthen through. Sometimes I even just press along with my IT band to get a little extra pressure, right? So my IT band runs from my hip to the outside of my knee. Using my hand, I can push that leg not only down toward the ground, but down toward my knee a little bit, stretching that IT band a little. Good, since we've done some foam rolling in this class, we're also gonna take our little rakes, right? So make a rake with your hand. Start up by your hip and you're just going to drag it right down your IT band. You're applying as much pressure as you can into this IT band here, which is pretty wide up at the top, and then it gets a little bit more narrow. So try to make sure you hit that wide part up at the top. Same thing with the foam rolling. We are looking for any area that's like feels like it's tender or a bruise. That likely means that it's getting tight, it's contracted in there. We want to just try to get some blood flow in there and loosen it up, right? If your IT bands have nothing, push harder because it does. All right, good. We're going to take your left hand under that right knee, support it, bend your right knee back onto your back, pull that right knee back into your chest, and then we're going to switch up these legs. So draw up that left leg, send the right leg all the way down. Kicking my foam roller. Good. And then we're going to move into that supine twist here. So just draw that left knee over to the right side and extend that left arm out long behind you. Good. So try to work that left shoulder. So this is my tight side. So I always want to just kind of draw attention to the fact that both sides are usually not the same. One side's a little bit looser, one side's a little bit stronger, one side can balance better. So this is my tighter side. So I'm really working to get my left shoulder down onto the ground here, which means that my left knee doesn't get as close to the floor. So I'm just gonna hang out. I'm gonna work my left shoulder to stay on the floor so that I have some kind of frame of reference for like weeks down the road when I'm like, hey, yay, my knee is really close to the floor today. So, so just try to give yourself a frame by pinning your shoulder there, and then we can kind of measure that knee to the floor progression. All right, we're going to go ahead and extend that top leg out here. Good, pressing through that heel, pull the toes to you. Good, my left shoulder popped right up, so check your shoulder here, especially if it's your tighter side. And then we're going to get that rake ready. Good. In about 3, 2, you can start early. 1, good, rake down from the hip to the outside of the knee. Good, looking for any areas that feel tender, tight, that they might need a little extra. Sometimes it's hard to get over there. So if your shoulder pops up, especially like this is my tight side, right? So it's hard to sometimes reach over there. So I'll let the shoulder pop up here just so I can get into that IT band, kind of just map where it might be a little bit tight. I was doing jacks the other day in a class and I noticed it was just kind of like a little bit uncomfortable, which is unusual. So I got to spend a little bit more time. I foam rolled out my IT, but there it is. I knew I was going to find something. So, so just, get in there, find a little bit. Sometimes you got to kind of work through and loosen up those superficial layers, right? Get in there. That is feeling absolutely brutal. Scooby came to comfort me last night when I did my IT band rolling because I was giving off that like I'm in pain vibe. All right, so we're going to support that knee, bring that all the way back in. We'll bring both knees up and in, and we'll pull the lower back off the floor one more time, and then we'll set these feet back onto the floor. Go ahead and roll your knees and yourself over onto your side here, and we're going to just come into our tabletop posture. So hands are directly underneath your shoulders, knees are right underneath your hip here. Good. So in this stance here, we're going to just work a little bit of our core. So I'm going to have you bend your elbows a little bit. Okay. And then imagine you've got like a tennis ball under your chin. So you're lengthening through the back of your neck here. You're going to pull your shoulders away from your ears and retract your shoulder blades a little bit so that you show your chest to the floor. When you retract your shoulder blades, try not to pop your spine up, your tailbone. You want to hold that steady. So belly button is going to just pull to the spine to keep this area tight and flat. Good. As you retract the shoulder blades, get wide through the chest. Curl your toes underneath and you're going to hover your knees right off the floor and hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Go ahead and release that. Nice job. That 5 count, you're like, wow, that's a long time. Good. Those bear stances can be, because we're engaging so many muscles. We're going to bring your thighs in together, set your hips back here, and walk your hands all the way out onto your mat, dropping your forehead down into a child's pose. So we start to open up underneath your armpit here a little bit, but also the QL, right? It has to kind of bow over here. So it's bowing here, and you're reaching forward so that we open up all the way underneath your arm and into your upper and mid back. Good. From this position, I'm going to have you guys walk your fingertips over to the right front corner of the mat. So you really get an extra stretch through that left side body. And then try not to collapse through on that right side. It still reaches. The left side just needs to reach a little bit further. Good, and then you'll come all the way back through your center. Walk those fingertips over to that left front corner. Same gig, both arms reach nice and long. The right one's just going to travel further, so it's a good stretch under there. And good, we'll come all the way back through the center. I'll have you bring your hands in here, and we're just going to come up into hero pose. So we're in our hero pose, shoulders over your hips. Good, all right. So we're going to just lift through your chest here. If this is a little bit much in your hero pose, you can just lift your hips up here, stick a yoga block or a couch cushion or something again right underneath here. Okay. And we're going to just inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Step your knees apart a little bit. You're going to exhale into your imaginary back pockets. Where your fingertips hit, you're going to just press yourself forward here. Good. And we're going to open up the chest. Make sure the glutes are tight so that you're supported. And then your head kind of lifts up, but it's really only because it's attached to your spine and you're lifting your chest, right? So if I were to push this back, my head's kind of at a neutral position. So I'm really just kind of keeping my head neutral and bringing my chest up to the ceiling here. Good, for 3, 2, and 1. Good, I come back to a neutral position. I'm gonna back up a little bit so I don't run out of real estate here on my mat. I'm gonna send my weight into my left thigh. I'm gonna pick up my right leg and I'm gonna go slow. So I'm working some balance here. It's not graceful, right? And then get out there into a runner's lunge. You're gonna get that knee right over your ankle here. And you're just gonna drop in forward, nice and gentle. Open up those hip flexors. We just kind of crunch them up in that child's pose. So my left leg is back. I'm gonna take my left hand over here and send that all the way up into the air. Good, reach up as high as I can, and then I'm gonna drop it far forward and rotate over my front right foot. Good, for 3, 2, and 1. Good, I'm gonna push into my foot, bring myself back to neutral here, and I'm gonna switch up my legs here. Again, I'm trying to balance a little bit. Anytime I can, I'm trying to work that balance, challenge it. So send my weight into my right, lift up my left leg, go slow, and then step it out, and then drop forward. Hands are gonna come right to the back. So again, I'm just gonna adjust so that my knee's over my ankle here. Sometimes if we don't adjust, we wind up with our knee here, and that puts a lot of pressure on that patella ligament there. So you wanna make sure that your foot's out far enough and that your stretch is coming in here. The other thing sometimes we tend to do, maybe it's we get that 90 degrees here, but we don't have a super big stretch going on here. So you want to just make some adjustments when you get out there. Open up this angle as much as you can, and this is at 90. We'll take that right arm up into the air, reaching up as high as you can. Come down and cross it over the left side. Good, for 3. You're tucking that right hip under 2. And good, coming all the way back here. Slowly bring that into balance here. We'll drop our hands right back down here. Toes are gonna curl underneath, and you'll send yourself up into a downward facing dog. So you're gonna try to drive your heels down toward the floor as best you can. Line your ear up with kind of like your elbow or your hand. So the front part of your face is in front of your arm, and the back of your skull is in back of your arm. And then send your tailbone up toward the ceiling. Feel that extra stretch down the back of your leg. I'll have you open up your legs here as wide as you need to get your heels onto the floor. And then send your weight into those heels. Send the tailbone up here. You can wash your hands out a little bit so that you get a little extra stretch underneath your lats and your armpits. But really focus on sending that tailbone up toward the ceiling. You can pull your toes up, tighten the quads. 3, 2, and 1. Good. You can move your right foot back onto your mat and you're going to just pivot yourself over here. We're going to go ahead and open yourself up into a straddle. Open your legs up as wide as you can here, keeping your hands flat on the floor. So I'm just going to hop sideways for you guys. You guys stay there. I just want to be able to show you the back posture here. So if your hamstrings and glutes are tight, sometimes it's hard. You wind up with a rounded back right here. The pressure goes on your back. You don't want to do that so much. You really want to keep this out. Keep the chest showing it to the floor, that tennis ball under your chin. If you can't get down onto the floor, you have your handy dandy foam roller or yoga block that can lift you up here, or it can be on the tall setting so that you can keep that back nice and flat and still get this stretch in here. Good. Coming back to you guys, straddling on the mat here. So we're going to drive into, we've been here for a little bit, you're going to drive into your right knee. So we're open to a straddle. It's not going to go far into a bend. So just bend that right a little. You're going to get a little extra stretch on this adductor on your left. Good. And then you'll press into that right foot to come back to neutral. And then we'll sit into the left knee just a little bit. Back is flat, stretching out that adductor here. And good, we'll come back to the center. Go ahead and walk your hands over to this right foot. If you can grab that right foot with your left hand, go ahead. See if you can release your body here. We're going to stretch out a little bit more to the back. Good. If you want a little bit more stretch here and you feel you can, place that left hand on the floor and extend your right arm up into the air and look for that hand. For 3, 2, and 1. Good. You'll come all the way back through. We'll walk your hands over to that left foot now. Good. We're hanging out over here. Getting a nice, good stretch through there. Good. And again, if you feel like you can, you're going to just bring that hand right there and extend up into that rotation. Good. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Drop your head and look directly through your knees. Open them up. So this is really good to get blood flow into your head. Inversions are also good if you're also working on headstands or anything like that. This would be your prep to drop down here and get your basket right here ready for your head to work into your headstand. Good. You would then bend your knees, engage your core, lift your hips. I'm not working on that today, but if you wanted to, go right ahead. Good. We're going to come all the way up. You're going to heel toe in, unless you're in an inversion. And you're just walking your feet all the way in here, bending your knees as much as you need to keep your hands on the floor. Drop your eyes to look to your kneecaps. Work to get your forehead as close to your kneecaps as you can. And then we're going to work to straighten out just the right leg. And then bend it. And then work to straighten out the left leg. And then bend it. Again, same thing here. If you need a little bit of, we're in forward flexion, right? So if I turn sideways, forward flexion means my torso is in front of my hips. That's forward flexion. And it can put a lot of strain on your back if you try to stand up from this position. So you want to be supported in forward flexion. We're stretching the muscles here, not using them, right? So we're stretching these low back muscles. I'm going to go ahead one more time to the right, try to straighten that out. And then bend it, and then left. Excellent, and come all the way back to bend. We've been in an inversion for a little bit. So I'm gonna have you just press your hands into the mid-thigh and bring your torso parallel to the floor. Work your torso just like we did in tabletop, where you squeeze those shoulder blades together, draw your belly button up to your spine, right? You don't wanna arch out your tailbone, hold it nice and steady. Remember that tennis ball, shoulders come back away from the ears. Good. And so now hopefully when we go to stand all the way up, we're not going to get dizzy. Good. And we're going to tuck, bend your knees, tuck your pelvis all the way underneath. And you're going to come to a full stand here. Okay. Oops. All right. Good. And full stand here. We're going to inhale all the way up overhead. And exhale over to your side. Good. Come all the way back to center. Good. Inhale all the way up and exhale to the side. Good. And come all the way back here. Good. We're going to just come up onto your toes. Squeeze your ankles together. Squeeze your knees together. Good. One more time. Just a little bit of a balance here for 3, 2, and arms are coming down. Heels are coming down. And we're going to finish out with our 3 shoulder rolls, the ruby red slippers. You always have the power to stretch. All right, nicely done today, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully you are nice and limber.